Hello everyone and welcome to the Redmen TV. It's the uncensored match build-up ahead of a rather important Premier League game, to say the least. Liverpool versus Manchester City kicks off in just over an hour and 15 minutes time. Liverpool's team news will be out in about 15 minutes time to bring all of that to you and have a chat about the game. I'm Steve Hall, delighted to be joined by Errol Smith over at the board. We've got Dan Clubb as well. Yeah, we've got the big guns out. It's been ages since me and you did one of these. I felt like we kept missing each other. I was ill, then I was away, then you were off, but like Liverpool might need all the help they can get today, so the dream team had to get back together.
We had to bring the band back together, man, because like the nerves. You say before just off there, like you haven't had time today because you've been busy. Big up all the mums as well. Get that out there early. Happy Mother's Day. But it felt like that was a nice and welcome distraction. Yeah. Because for the next 3 hours, we're both just probably going to be a bag of nerves. Absolutely,
yeah. Shout out to all the mothers out there, and it's been an eventful day. And now, yeah, you're right. I hadn't really had time to think about it. Been visiting parents, obviously spending time with my wife as well with the kids and stuff. But then I got here and I was like, oh my god, and my arse was a bit like 10p, 5p, you know what I mean? I now feel it and it's ages away, yeah, so God 10p, knows.
I'm talking £2 coins.
It's
not been good. It's not been good today, I'm not going to lie.
No, it's not great. Dan, we don't know the team yet. Liverpool's team will be officially announced in about 15 minutes time, but obviously the latest reports are Ibu Konate wasn't with the team. He arrived with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Curtis Jones, suggesting he's not going to be part of the 11. So that team behind you, we're waiting for confirmation. It looked like Harvey Elliott's going to play. Maybe Mo Salah's only fit enough to play on the bench. It's the biggest game of the season, and Liverpool are a little bit underhanded, it's fair to say. They're going to need Anfield today.
Yeah, massively so. We're going to need Anfield full stop in a game of this magnitude. There's no two ways about that. I think Jurgen Klopp's already delivered his rallying call for Anfield. Virgil van Dijk likewise in his programme notes as well. So that was never likely not to be the case. We were always going to rely on the power of Anfield in a game like this. There's no two ways about it. But I think you're right in terms of a couple of more key absentees. Liverpool, we know, have been going through this injury crisis in recent weeks, and obviously losing Konate midweek is a big old blow as well. And Mo Salah not being fit enough to start this game, if indeed that is the case, will also be a bit of a knock ahead of it. But listen, if this is to be the team, it's interesting because obviously a couple of things Klopp could have done. There's a couple of key decisions which we'll speak about in a bit more detail once we know for sure this is the side. But obviously Joe Gomez potentially coming in to deputise at left back with Robbo on the bench. That's an interesting one, especially when you consider that means Joel Quansah will line up alongside Virgil van Dijk. That's a big call. That's a big right hand side of the defence. There's a lot of inexperience there. There's a lot of quality and a lot of talent, no two ways about it. But that's a big decision that's been made. And obviously likewise Harvey Elliott as well. He's got a big job on his hands if we're going to get anything from this game, to be honest with you. He's going to be absolutely key, getting back and helping. He's going to be asked to do a lot of running, which he's done a lot of in recent weeks. So yeah, interesting one. But again, enough quality, enough strength to definitely be more than a match for Manchester City.
Fingers crossed. Got a couple of super chats. Shout out to Imran. Says, something tells me I'm going to need a defibrillator for this one, guys. My heart is pounding already. You need to chill that out, Timmy. Give it an hour. I mean, otherwise you are going to kill yourself. We need to try and hopefully the players are more relaxed than perhaps we are. Anfield will be rocking. That's the main thing. Andy App says, it's been a rather shit week. I lost a good friend and a true Red. So the dread to see, would love to see a win. Condolences to your friend and to yourself and to your family there, Andy, as well. But yeah, hopefully Liverpool can put a bit more of a smile on your face today. It's much needed. It's strange, look, because we saw last night, obviously Arsenal have now gone top of the league. They just about overcome Brentford. Some contentious decisions from the referee. But in both sides, to be honest, Arsenal could have had a couple of pens. They also could have had a red card to the fella who scored the goal. But that's the difference here, really. Usually this game at this stage of the season, it is almost like a de facto title decider to some degree. Arsenal being right in this mix at the moment makes it a little bit different. Like, a lot of people have been asking me what's a good result, and I was saying I wouldn't take a draw if you offer me it now, but I don't think a draw is a bad result if that's what Liverpool would get. I think because you've got to presume if it was just Liverpool and City, a draw would be sound because it just keeps them behind you and job is a good one. But you do have to factor Arsenal into this now, considering the form they're in.
Absolutely, and they're playing some brilliant football at the minute, so you've got to keep one eye off them. You can't be sleeping on this Arsenal team in any way, shape or form. I think the big not necessarily blow, but the big takeaway from me or at this moment in time is, you know, the likes of Elliott, Quansah, Bradley, Kelleher, all being in that team, potentially all in that starting lineup. Like, we've all seen some of the best Liverpool sides under Jurgen Klopp go up against City and still not been a match for them. They've still had too much. They've still had too much class, too much quality. They've still been able to hurt us with our best players on the pitch at our full disposal. We haven't even got that today. We haven't got that to turn to. So these lads are going to have the game of their lives if they feel confident enough to be able to take anything away from the City side. Don't get it twisted. City haven't been brilliant either, but City can turn up for the big games. They have this knack for just being there right up until the depth, so we can't look past them. But as you mentioned there, with Arsenal being in the mix as well, if we get a result, Arsenal then needs to get a result against City. All of a sudden, that two-horse title race could be between Liverpool and Arsenal, that'll be one for the ages, because I don't think we've seen it in our lifetimes, have we, really? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
well, the 90s, but I wasn't born.
It's been a long time, yeah. I suppose, Dan, I'll come to you. If Liverpool can win today and if Arsenal win next week, City are in massive trouble. Yeah. Like, it's a huge game. Usually at this stage of the season, we have to go to the Etihad and we're behind them, and we have to try and win. And then what happened is we tended to draw, and it's been absolutely fine for the home team. It feels like, everyone said, and a lot of people in the comments saying we must win. And maybe, I don't know if it's must win. It feels a little bit more must win for Manchester City than Liverpool. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, they make you right on that, to be honest with you. I think Manchester City will look at this as a must win game. For us, I'm a bit twisted on this. I'm a little bit torn, to be honest with you. I think I would take a draw. I think a draw keeps us right in it. And I think even, I don't want to say this, but I think even if we were to get beat, that doesn't rule us out of this title race necessarily. That still give us a shot. However, if we were to win this game today, my confidence and my belief that we're going to win this league goes from being relatively high to absolutely through the stratosphere. I think if we can win today, the momentum and the confidence and the belief that it'll give us to move on to these final 10 games would just go through the roof. So that's how big it is, that's how important it is, and that's how big and crucial these 3 points are. So yeah, I make you right. I think a draw, not the end of the world, not a disaster by any stretch of imagination. I'd even go as far as to say getting beat wouldn't be us out of the title race. But again, I come back to it. If we win, I think we win this league. I think we win this league at a canter if we get the job done today. That's how important this is. And I take your point, Errol. This isn't Liverpool at full strength, but Liverpool haven't been at full strength for the last 3-4 weeks now. They keep finding a way of getting the job done, and fingers crossed these lads on the pitch can do that again. But again, to come back to it, we can't discount Arsenal. It is definitely a 3-horse race. But 3 points today, I don't think anyone stops us.
You know, in that your lineup there, you've got McAllister on the left and Szoboszlai on the right.
Yeah.
Is that how you'd line up?
Yeah.
Really?
I think we've seen the best of Szoboszlai over this side, and likewise, I think we signed Alexis McAllister to play over there. We haven't seen anywhere near enough of it. Midweek, Matt, one of his first occasions actually played in his A1 position, if you like. Yeah. So today, when you've got that at your disposal, he wasn't really the 6 for a little while whilst McAllister was in there, but we've seen the best of Otaru in recent weeks. There can be no doubt about that. So I think when you've got him playing the way he's playing, you can then be afforded to play those two in their best positions, and I have it that way around personally.
Fingers crossed, it all works out well. I suppose as well, from a City point of view, it'll be obviously Liverpool's team and City's team will be out in about 7 minutes. Let's have a little chat about Manchester City. Like, they are in good form, results-wise, and there's no doubt about it. You know, they've been on a real long
one draw
win.
5.
You know, Rodri hasn't lost a game for like 60 games when he started. All these kind of things. It's fair to say, though, City are conceding more goals and chances.
Yeah.
I think that's even they can't deny that. It's an absolute fact. You know, City aren't really keeping too many clean sheets recently. Given Liverpool's attacking prowess, they've got Diaz, we think they're going to have Darwin, Salah to come off the bench, Gakpo off the bench, Szoboszlai, McAllister. Like, Liverpool have shown recently that Liverpool can hurt anyone in terms of scoring goals, making chances. Does that give you some confidence that it isn't the absolute watertight Manchester City that we've seen at various times in the last couple of years, and the fact that Liverpool are seemingly, you know, creating a lot of like chances, shots, goals from the Reds? Does that give you a bit more confidence?
I mean, it does give us confidence. I think defensively we've been good all season. You know, for the most part, we've got one of the best defensive records, and that hasn't mattered who's really had to come in and who's had to deputise in that respect. I think as much as I was nervous for the lads that I mentioned earlier, they're still quite a bit of an unknown quantity to City in terms of, you know, how can they approach the game? What is it that they could do? Like, you've got a blueprint for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah. Almost. Like, you know his game inside out. The amount of times we've come up against City, we know if we can nullify our full-backs from being able to raid forward, get opportunities, get themselves on the ball, overlap some of the forwards, there's a good chance that Liverpool's attack of prowess is stunted because a lot of their creation comes from down the width. We've still got that to a degree, but it has a different look with the likes of Bradley in the mix, with the likes of Gomez. I like how good Quansah is actually on the ball. So I think there's not really someone where you could say, right, that's the player to go and initiate the press from a City perspective now. So they're going to have to tweak how they approach it ever so slightly. Plus, they'll have never come up against this midfield three in its entirety before, facing Liverpool at Anfield. So I think there's a few unknown quantities that City may have to do some in-game management to really kind of work out exactly where to stop Liverpool from being at their all-out best. But at the same time, it's still going to require the levels to be absolutely through the roof today. And make no mistake about it, he said before, like at the top of the show, Anfield has got to be there. It's got to be on it. I know they're doing coach greetings and all the rest of it. So I have no doubt that Anfield will give absolutely everything until the dying minutes in this game. But the players, we see mistakes against, like when we played Arsenal, like individual errors, silly goals, just like we can't, that was the one. We said we didn't like it, we could accept it, but that if we're going to drop a stinker, drop the mistakes and the stinkers all in the same game. All right, yeah, it was against the team that are in the title against you, but it's done. We get it out of our system. We've been on a great run since then. We need to continue that now. It's all about momentum from this point forward, because the team with the most momentum will blow away any of the teams up against them, in my opinion.
I suppose, the Anfield thing is the one thing Pep hasn't really cracked yet. Obviously, they beat us in COVID when there was no fans there, but City's record at Anfield for the most part, it hasn't been great. Now they're coming in with a good team, and Liverpool are, it's no doubt about it, Liverpool under strength. There's 4 or 5 lads there who we're missing from Liverpool's best 11, and we have to accept that. City might have 1 or 2 injuries. We're waiting obviously to see if Doku's fit or not. That's the only, obviously Jack Grealish being out as well, but it does feel like Anfield, he's going to have to play his part here, because on paper City are going to have a stronger 11.
I'm probably a bench.
And maybe potentially so, but their bench isn't fantastic at times. But it does feel like we need this Anfield factor to be a real thing, whether it's intimidating them, giving our lads a boost, putting the shits up the ref.
All of it. We need to get under Pep's skin. We need to get into Pep's head, because as soon as you start getting into, he's very emotional, and as you said, he hasn't cracked the whole Anfield situation yet, and how to get the best out of his team when Anfield are really up for it. And we need to really make this one last hoorah where he thinks, fuck's sake, this place again. I want him leaving at full time thinking, that's a fucking glad that's the last time I've got to play against Jurgen Klopp, because I just don't enjoy it. He needs to leave with those emotions, because as far as I'm concerned, this is our chance, this is our time. I was watching the UFC silly o'clocks in the morning, and the guy that got beaten in the main event, his coach was in his corner just spitting facts. He's like, this is your moment. If you want to go and be a champion, you've got to go fucking knock him out now. And he didn't. Don't get me wrong, do you know what I mean? The champion was fucking class last night. Sean O'Malley was boss, but that's the mentality. You've got to go and knock them out at this point. You've really got to bloody their nose, and it's in our hands. We don't need favours from anyone, do we? If we win all of our games, we win the league. So we've got to do that. And City is we've made some statements so far this season, but this with that team could be a massive statement at this stage. Absolutely,
Dan. It looks like again Mo Salah's probably going to start on the bench. We'll confirm that in a moment. Liverpool need Darwin Núñez to be on it today, don't we? He's in good form, and it's goals and assists all over the shop in his last few appearances. He got a couple of really good goals in midweek. He got a little bit of a rest as well. Jurgen took him off, wrapped him in cotton wool. It feels like this might be the first time Manchester City are about to face fully confident, fully flying Darwin Núñez. He's caused them issues before. Yeah. He's caused Ruben Diaz a couple of problems, especially in that Charity Shield game very early on. Yeah. It feels like Liverpool are going to rely heavily on that number 9 today, because he's the man.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And obviously the way City play with such a high line, he is going to be very, very important. He always is to Liverpool, especially in recent weeks. He's firing on all cylinders right now. And as you mentioned there, he's playing absolutely full of belief. He's backing himself 100% in everything that he does. And we're seeing the fruits of that as well, because he's been absolutely exceptional. As you say, without the main man, Mo Salah, with him on the bench, obviously clearly not ready to do an hour, clearly not ready to do for 90 minutes, of course. A lot of attention does then turn on Darwin Núñez. I think him and Luis Diaz as being out balls and getting in behind are going to be absolutely pivotal for Liverpool, because Man City, if they look to dictate terms and play the way they play week in, week out with that high line, as I mentioned, these two getting in behind time and time again, I think Harvey Elliott will do a lot of that and tucking in, making that a bit more of a free, and we will play with these two on the shoulder looking to go. But Darwin Núñez is absolutely pivotal for the Reds today. Do we have a team?
We do have a team, mate, yes. It's pretty much the team that you've got behind you, really.
Cool.
I'll read it out while you sort your subs bench out. So Liverpool's 11, then it's Kevin Kelleher in goal, Joe Gomez at left back, Virgil van Dijk and Gerald Kwanzaa as the centre-backs. You've got Conor Bradley at right back, a midfield three of Endo, Szoboszlai, and of course Alexis McAllister, and then a front three of Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez, and we think Harvey Elliott. Mo Salah is fit enough to take his place on the bench along with Cody Gakpo, Kostas Tsimikas, Andy Robertson. You've got Clark, McConnell, Nallo and Kumas. That's the 11, Dan, with the bench. What I would say is not, of course, it's not Liverpool's strongest 11, but Liverpool do have options off the bench there in Salah, in Gakpo, in Robertson as well. Like, there's a couple of subs there that Liverpool can make, maybe Kostas, if you're looking at the set plays and things like that. It does feel like Liverpool have got a little bit on the bench, but it no doubt about it, they're not at their full complement there. There's a couple players there who you probably wouldn't want if all was being well in terms of fitness and form on the bench at least, but that's the hand we've been dealt.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like, that bench, I've obviously got Marvinello to add on to that. He hasn't yet to play for Liverpool in first team terms. So, yeah, it's far from ideal. But we knew that. We've known that for 3 or 4 weeks now. Obviously, the Canality injury midweek, as I mentioned, that was another hammer blow to Liverpool's squad and the depth that we've got. But as you said there, in terms of game changers, Cody Gakpo's a seasoned international now. He's been around Liverpool for enough time. We know what he's all about. He can influence big games of football. We've seen him do it in the past. But Mo Salah's one we'll keep an eye on. I think Man City and Pep Guardiola will have one eye on that as well. The fact that they'll be probably delighted that he's not fit enough to start this game, but as the game pans out, depending on how it goes and the way the patterns are going and the direction of travel of the result and stuff like that, if Jurgen Klopp has got Mohamed Salah to turn to with half an hour to go when maybe the Man City defenders are a little bit tired, maybe they're having to try and force things and try and get their way back into the game, who knows. As trump cards go, it doesn't really get a lot better than Mo Salah, so there is a positive spin on that. Whilst I wish he was starting the game and I wish he could play 90, if we are in the game, leading the game or whatever, turning to Mo Salah in pretty much any situation feels like a very nice option to have.
Absolutely. And Manchester City then with a couple of surprises in their team news. The main one is Ruben Diaz on the bench.
Wow.
They've got a team of Kyle Walker, John Stones, Akanji and Ake as their back four, Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva. And then they've gone Alvarez, Foden, Haaland. It'd be interesting to see if that means Alvarez goes out wide. They do something more like a diamondy type thing as well with Foden leading the line. Diaz is on the bench along with the goalkeeper Ortega, Kovacic, Doku only fit enough to make the bench. It looks like, or maybe that was a managed decision. Gomez, Gvardiol, Núñez, Bob Lewis. Like their bench, Errol, like it's got obviously Doku's the main threat, but the rest of them are defenders really, or youngsters, or Núñez, who's been a little bit hit and miss obviously as well. Yeah. Interesting that they've decided to go Akanji over Diaz. That's a big call really. I don't know if it's fitness. Don't know if it's fitness related or anything, but that's huge from Guardiola.
Yeah, it's massive, but as you mentioned, you know, Núñez has got the better of Diaz a couple of times, so to know, especially when it comes to pace, if they're going to play that high line, they're going to want somebody who's got a little bit more recovery pace. I think it is quite interesting though, and again, it'd be so good to have Salah, because I think they would look to Akanji and Ake to just kind of double up on Salah, which just leaves acres of space for someone like Núñez or Diaz. I don't think they'll have the hands full in the same way with Harvey Elliott, but I think Dan alluded to it before, potentially him just drifting into midfield and just getting that extra body in there at times and leaving the other two just on the shoulder to kind of really hit them on the counter. I think it's going to have to be a really, not necessarily a defensive masterclass from Liverpool today, but we're going to have to test our defensive nerve today really, because City are, we know that we can not like give up the ball, but we can relinquish the ball to them in order to get the best out of what we've got. We want to be able to be quick, decisive, hit them on the counter, hit them with a lot of pace. If we want to do that, we're going to have to be confident or comfortable leaving them with enough of the ball, but then still being able to snap when it comes into that press.
Interesting one that, Dan, isn't it? Like Akanji over Diaz. Again, I don't know if it's injury related or just Pep being Pep, or he saw something. Maybe I'm looking at the comments from City fans. I don't really know much obviously about how they've been doing too well, but like some of them are saying maybe Akanji's a bit better on the ball. I don't know, but I'm surprised. Like you don't really see a team's, well, probably their best centre-half, just left out of such a big game. Pep's it's a big call he's made there.
Yeah, hopefully Pep's pepped it, as he used to do so often in Europe, of course. That's maybe he's overthought it a little bit, potentially. But I must admit, I've seen quite a bit of Diaz of late. Obviously, keep an eye on City and hope, often in vain, that they don't win all their games of footy. He has looked a little bit vulnerable at times, Diaz, I will say that. Akanji is probably more comfortable on the ball, but again, it's a big decision, as you say. He's been a talismanic defender pretty much since he arrived to Man City. So for me, I see that as a positive from the Liverpool point of view, because although Akanji has fitted in pretty seamlessly at Man City, he's not been tested in this sort of environment necessarily yet. I don't really think he's come to Anfield where it's going to be as feral and as hostile as it will be today. So it's another sort of potential point of weakness Liverpool could look to exploit. I think, just keep on what Errol's saying there, I do see Harvey Elliott going looking for work like he so often does when he plays this role. He plays it in a very different manner to Mo Salah. He will be up and down trying to help out Conor Bradley, trying to help out in the midfield as well, and whether that occupies the mind of Akanji and Ake on that left hand side and they go wandering with him potentially, and that does free up a little bit of room for these two. That's the way I can see it playing, because I think, as you both alluded to there, I think Liverpool will be quite content with Man City having a lion's share possession and look to hurt him on transitions and quick counter-attacks with the pace of these two in behind. But yeah, hopefully, as I say, hopefully Pep Guardiola's overthought the Anfield factor and made a change that perhaps he shouldn't have done.
I mean, it speaks to the
I mean, Akanji's good. He's not mug.
It speaks to the confidence that everyone's got in John Stones at the minute.
He's great.
That he's the go-to. Do you know what I mean? He's the shoe-in out of the, that three that you could have picked. And I think his form this season's been unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
he's great.
He's kind of like evolved his centre-back role, if I'm not mistaken.
He goes into midfield. He does what Trent does.
He does the inverted stuff from centre-back, basically.
It's a wild one, but again, Pep seemed to find a way in a system in which it works, and obviously adds a little bit of strength to the City side, which is, unbelievable when you think of how good they've been over the years. Like, how do you still add quality to that? But I think that's a massive call, as Dan said there. Hopefully, Pep's just pepped in his own head there.
Fingers crossed. I mean, I could go through every single player in the team, Errol, and say, he needs a good game, blah, blah, blah. But there's a couple of youngsters there at the back for Liverpool, in Conor Bradley and Errol. What a moment for those two. Like, obviously Liverpool would rather Konate be fit. Obviously, you'd rather Trent be fit. But with someone else going out, opportunity arises for other players. Liverpool, Quansah and Bradley haven't let Liverpool down at all, not really. Once. I mean, Conor Bradley's first touch the other day was interesting, but apart from that, it's been a really good start to both of them this season. They've both been excellent. But what an opportunity against the treble winners, reigning champions at home, massive game, the type of game that you dream of playing. What a moment for those two. Like, they must be absolutely buzzing. And if they can control that anger and if they control them nerves, like, what an occasion.
Honestly, yeah, I mean, like, I don't think you'd have slept last night if you was them lads. If you got the nod last night and you got the call and Jürgen knocked on your hotel room or whatever and said it's you, I don't think you're sleeping. But I hope they did, because they're going to fucking need it, do you know what I mean, at the same time. But you can just understand, like, the emotions, the adrenaline, like, the whole thought process to be living out that dream. And I always remember, like, when we sold Sterling to City, when City had to come back to Anfield, he's still quite a young player, but obviously he wanted to go and do his thing. He had his own goals and his ambitions that Liverpool at the time couldn't match. But the way that the Anfield crowd berated him, as a young lad, just absolutely berated him. Every touch he got booed, he got terrorised, and he never had a good game. He never seemed to be able to come and get that confidence that he used to have when he played for Liverpool at Anfield. We need to do that reverse psychology on that and instill that same level of energy into those young players today to make them all feel 10 feet tall. Like, that's what the Liverpool crowd need to do. We need to really get behind them and support them whenever on the ball, encouragement, giving them, all the cheers, everything, the ovations, whatever it takes to just make them feel invincible today, because we are going to need an invincible performance. We've got to be that difficult in order to get anything from the game, even a draw, mate. Like, to take anything from this City team, we have got to be on it to the highest level. And, I'm glad that we've got that spine of Verge, Endo, Núñez in the team today, because I feel like, for all different reasons, they've all been very standout in this team for us this season, and I just love them to all have one big massive performance where you just like, do you know what, we're the dog's bollocks, and this is why we are going to go the distance.
I hope so, fingers crossed. Interesting, Dan, they've got Alvarez, Foden, Haaland. If they're going to keep Foden where he's been playing right wing effectively. Yeah. It's been Doku and Grealish on the other side now. Grealish is out and Doku was a fitness doubt. Maybe that's why it's Alvarez. I'm not sure he's a winger. I mean, they could easily throw Bernardo Silva over there or something, but the way they've lined their team up, it looks like it might not be that. So we'll find out in due course. With that being said, do you think that's why Joe Gomez is in? Because, listen, Liverpool's first choice left back and what we thought backup left back are both on the bench.
Yeah.
Like, it's a manager's decision to go with Joe Gomez at left back. Do you think that is a lot to do with Phil Foden and trying to stop him because he has been in great form for Manchester City and Gomez has been in equally as good form for Liverpool?
Yeah, I do, and it's one I can get on board with, to be honest with you. I got wind of obviously that potential decision quite a few hours ago this morning, so I've had a lot of time to mull it over, and I think it makes a lot of sense, to be honest. I think Phil Foden's obviously enjoying he's had a good career today, there's no two ways about that. It's been trophy laden, but I think he's probably enjoying the best moment in his career. To date, he's absolutely prolific right now. Everything he touches seems to turn to goals or assists. So I think having someone like Joe Gomez, who is a defender by trade, that's what he does. His stock and trade is being solid. It's winning tackles, it's winning headers. Obviously, a semi-converted centre-back, he still drops into there every now and then. So I think having somebody of that ilk on that side is actually a really smart decision by Jurgen Klopp, especially when you consider his favoured side would be Phil Foden cutting in on his left, which is what he's going to do time and time again. I don't see a world whereby Foden tries to go round him constantly. He might have a different problem with a fullback trying to do that in Kyle Walker, potentially. But in terms of the one-on-one battle, Foden against Gomez, I don't want to stand there and say that Gomez will win that because it's going to be difficult. Phil Foden's a wonderfully gifted footballer. But Joe Gomez can definitely hold his own in that battle. That's going to be pivotal all across this pitch. One-on-one battles are going to be absolutely imperative to whoever can prevail in this game. And in terms of that one, if you isolate just that, Gomez can hold his own there 100%.
Andy App says here, according to Sky, they think City are playing 3-2-4-1. That, with John Stones playing as like a DM, that would be interesting. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. We'll find out in due course. So that would be a Kanji, Ake, Walker at the back with Stones and Rod. I don't know. Maybe
it is sound.
I mean,
do you think that's sound? Because I remember when Arsenal did the thing with Jorginho and just dropped Jorginho in there, and he just dictated everything. Like we just wasn't. Well, you did though, Dan. You're looking at me like I was like we couldn't get a grip at that midfield.
We were terrible that day.
We was terrible, but that kind of just threw a spanner in the works in terms of how we approached it. And like,
if it is that, that's Pep.
That
having a big, he's having a big thing.
That's a midlife crisis fucking like setup. Like, you've got the 11, just play them the way.
I've got it on the screen here. This is what Sky and a few others are saying it could look like. It's basically Alvarez, De Bruyne, Silva and Foden as a four behind Errol, Haaland with Stones and Rodri. Like, I mean, the back four and then will have to be on it if that's the case, and we'll find out. But I mean, it's interesting if
we're going to struggle to get out of that, you know.
See, my guess would be that information without the ball. That's what John Stones does. He wanders in there anyway. He'll be playing centre back, and then it's a with the ball without the ball kind of thing. That's kind of what it looks like anyway, Dan. If they haven't got the ball, if they have, when they do, John Stones does wander in there. It's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool deal with that. You know, with maybe it's Szoboszlai's job to just get in and around him from that right hand side, because we saw. When Chelsea had a little bit of success against Manchester City in the league, both games, they really hurried and harried either the centre back who wandered in or Rodri himself, and they just buzzed around him and then try and cut off those supply lines. It feels like McAllister, Szoboszlai, Elliott in those roles without the ball could be huge. Liverpool have to be really careful, because if you let City beat that first and second line of press, they are relentless when they get the ball to De Bruyne, to Silva, to Alvarez, to Foden, to Haaland. Like, Liverpool's press is going to have to be really on it.
Yeah, it is, and I think that is the beauty of this midfield. Obviously, you mentioned Endo, McAllister, Szoboszlai there, but as you touched on, if you add Harvey Elliott to that as well, you have got that level of intensity. You've got that. None of them are work shy. They've all absolutely take their defensive responsibilities on the back, and they'll run with it until they absolutely can't anymore. So I don't really have any issues with that. You're right, they're going to have to know when to go, and they're going to have to get it right, and the timings and the triggers and all that are going to be absolutely spot on. Otherwise, City will just carve the way through you, and you've got a real problem. But with the help of Harvey Elliott in there, making that engine room a really resilient engine room, and absolutely putting a shift in for 90 minutes potentially, I don't have much of a problem with that. And if Man City are tinkering the way they go about their business, that only plays into our hands for me. And also, you know, touching on the inverted stuff, we expect John Stones to do a lot of that. Joe Gomez's inclusion also speaks to that for me as well. We've seen him do quite a lot of that this season. Conor Bradley likewise, but from a more advanced situation. So I think it's an interesting matchup, and I'm not... Sometimes, especially when you're missing so many key players, you can look at the 11s and go, on paper, man for man, Man City look better, of course they do. But the way these teams are set up today and the decisions we've made in and around it fills me with even more confidence that we can get this job done today.
City have only won 2 of their games against the top 6 all season.
Yeah, they're not great in that regard. But we're not either.
I know. Our performance hasn't been great against the top six either. But I said it from the start of the season. Especially because Arsenal started to enter the conversation. My thing was, we need to drag. There's no point trying to go for that 100 points because that's a ridiculously hard level to kind of achieve. We need to drag City down to our level of like not where we was at last season because that was piss poor, but a level where we know we can comfortably, with a good team, get ourselves back between 88, 93 points. That's the level where if you really want to be in close with the title race with City and you've got a chance, we need to drag them down to that level. All the other teams so far this season, Chelsea included, have done their job. Liverpool just need to rise to the occasion now. Like that's the task ahead.
Absolutely, Anfield, like that's the case. If you want to beat Manchester City, you got to take points.
You want to win the league.
I think a draw at the Etihad was sound.
Yeah,
absolutely. Take it every day of the week. Go and beat them at Anfield. Get back top of the league. Put the pressure. Next week they play Arsenal. Well, after the international break, they play Arsenal, and let's just see how that falls, and then put the pressure all back on them. That's what people need to do.
I can't wait.
Let us know, guys, in the comment section right now, the live chat. Let me know your score predictions. Let us know in the Discord, on Facebook, wherever you're watching this. Let us know your score predictions. I'll get Dan and Errol to give me theirs as well in a moment. Just to let you know, we'll be live in about half an hour's time with the watch. It'll be me and Errol right the way throughout the show, so do make sure you come and join us for that. After the game, we'll have the player ratings show, we'll have the instant match reaction, both available over on redmenplus.com. If you want to sign up there now, get it signed up, get subscribed, get everything in, so that when Liverpool win this game, that you've got all that extra added content as well. And in honour of Darwin Núñez's exploits last weekend, we have got a special offer for you as well. If you go to redmenplus.com, sign up as a monthly captain and use that promo code Núñez, you'll get it for 99p for your first month. So yeah, redmenplus.com, code Núñez, 99p for your first month, and we'll have loads of post-game comments and reaction after this show. Right then, I'll give everyone enough time to get their predictions in. I'll bring a few up on the screen now. Josh, 2-0 easy. I admire your confidence, Josh. Mo is going for 3-1 to Liverpool. Craig with a nervy 1-0 to the Reds. Richard's gone for a 2-all. King Mo, a Sobber slice screamer, and Liverpool win 2-0. Frieden's gone for a 3-1. Timon's gone for a 2-1. Loads of, let's see, Steve Ryder 3-1. That is this year's scoreline, isn't it? 3-1 to Liverpool. Sean with a 3-2. Dan, I'll come to you. Liverpool, City, can I get a little score prediction from you?
Of course you can, yeah. I spoke to Phil Thompson this week and he was absolutely full of confidence. He gave the sort of speech to give me goosebumps at the time, and the one the lads could do with, to be honest with you, heading into this one. So on the back of his confidence, I'm going to go for Liverpool 2, Manchester City 1 with Alexis McAllister masterclass. He's going to make us tick all afternoon. 2-1 the Reds.
Errol?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not confident of the 3-2s and all of the 4-3s that are going on in the chat. I can just see a really nervy 1-0.
Take it.
Hit them on the counter and take it. I will be gassed. I'm so shameless and I'll be so gassed, but I'm here for just a 1-0 Darwin. Just even doesn't have to be a late winner. We could score like half an hour and just hold on and just absolutely pop them off the park, but that would do me. 1-0 Liverpool.
2-1 Salah to get the winner is my prediction. Salah off the bench.
His top would go off the whole team would be shut down. Yeah. Oh, Salah
off the bench. 2-1 to Liverpool is my prediction. Right, we're going to wrap up there. Do come and join us at 4:30 the watch along. We can't wait. Hopefully you can't wait.
It's not 4:30. What? Did you say 4:30?
No, it's 3:30.
3:30. 4:30 for the watch on.
Yeah.
3:30 for the watch on. There you go. Yeah, there we go.
Like it took me a second. I was like 4:30. Like I'm sure I got told before that it was like 4:45. Yeah.
There's no U in the 4 that I was speaking about. Yeah, it's very much the FOR. Anyway, there you go. There's another minute or two that we've wasted. Anyway, so yeah, do come back at 3:30 for the watch along. Yeah, thanks very much. See you all soon, guys.
Thank you so very, very much for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. The season is now well underway. If you need extra Redmen content, be it podcast, videos, documentaries, interviews, and general shows, fill your boots on redmenplus.com today.